I'd like to call to order the April 1st Board of Public Works and Utilities boards, and we'll start off with roll call. Mayor Kim Smith is, I guess, excused at this point. Dan Stevens,
Present.
Jared Holder,
Here.
Sabrina Steger,
Here.
and Stephen Nutt is myself. I also am present. Let's move on to item number 2, the consideration and action on minutes from the previous meeting.
Chair, I move that we approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll second.
Motion to approve by Dan Stevens, seconded by Sabrina Steger. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 3, public input. Anyone wishing to provide public input will be limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address. This is your first call for public input. I can see there's no one.
Please
There's
note for the record that the mayor is
Yes,
here.
exactly. I'll run public input. You won't miss anything. Second call for public input.
I would have.
Third. Oop, sorry about that. Turn that off. Third and final call for public input.
Yeah, so I'm trying to.
Public input is closed. Also note that Larry Jurassic is here observing as well. He just came in. Okay. Moving on to item number 4, Theater Road Improvements Project bid. Jared.
Thank you. This has been a long awaited project. It's probably been in the engineering department planning stage for almost 20 years. This is the Theater Road Improvements Project bid that includes a proposed roundabout at PH and Theater Road, and also milling and pavement improvements down on Theater Road from PH to Midwest Drive. The low bid does appear to be McCabe Construction at $700,777, as shown on page 2 in the bid tab. We did have 3 bidders, fairly good spread on the bids. The low bidder did have an error in their bid that was in the city's favor that we pointed out to the contractor, and they chose to accept the bid with the error, which was about $12,000. The engineer's estimate for this project right before bid was $850,000. We did budget $880,000 for this project, so we did come in well under bid, which was a good thing. What we're seeing in the construction market right now is they were hungry for work, and we hit the bid at the right time. So staff's recommending approval.
If we had,
So I have a motion first.
all right, I'll make a motion to approve the bid to McCabe Construction for the amount not to exceed $700,777.
I'll second.
All right, motion approved by Dan Stevens, seconded by Mayor Smith. Now discussion. Dan.
Jared, have we used McCabe Construction before?
Yeah, they actually were the bidder on constructor last year for Midwest Drive. It was a state bid, wasn't a city bid, and they also did the project over by the Blue Moon. That project right during COVID, bid right during COVID. So this would be, they have worked in our forest before. So we have no problems with their work.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5, Wisconsin DNR MS4 Stormwater Annual Report. Jared.
Thank you. In your packet tonight is the annual report for our MS4 permit for our WPEDS EPA mandated stormwater items which we must participate in. Lots of different staff work goes into this. I want to say Kevin Schubert does lead the way on getting this report out, and also participates with the La Crosse Waters Group, which is our education consortium with the various entities around us. The first part, option or part A, is a public outreach. In your packet tonight, there's about probably 40 pages of different public outreach that the La Crosse Waters Public Education Group does. A very good thing. They get us out. What I thought was interesting, the page numbers didn't come through, but in one of the handouts tonight, they had 13 public events with 1,593 people engaged. So they really help get the word out. If you follow them on Instagram, they post almost every other day. So it is a very good thing that the group does. So that's part A. Part B, as I was saying, is the annual report. This will require approval. As I was stating, there are a variety of people. Kevin does a lot, our public works staff, Amber, John, Colin, Brandon, kind of run, making sure some of these permit compliance items are done. We do hire consulting staff from Strand Associates to also help us. And then inspection department staff help and planning staff help with the erosion control side of things. The city is compliant in most areas, you know, the permit is very good. But we are seeing areas that we could improve upon. We were audited a couple of years ago. We get audited every 5 years, so we're always thinking about the next audit. And their expectations have raised in recent years. Just a lot of it's staff time to document, and we just don't sometimes have the staff time to be documenting everything that's happening. So, you know, the report will be fine. We'll submit it, and you know, nothing will come back from the DNR right away. But basically, during that 5-year audit is when they really go back and scrutinize things. So, with that, I'll open up for any questions.
This is a self-report, right? This is not the audit. This is your.
This is our yearly, this is our own staff. This is a yearly item. So we will most likely get audited by the DNR in relation to this program in another 3 years.
Okay, so 3 years from now.
Yes, yeah.
I'll move to approve the report.
I'll second.
That was seconded by Sabrina Steger. I'll start with the discussion myself. I have one other question. So had this been a audit, would there have been findings on this? Is that what I'm hearing?
They dive deeper into the obviously it's hard to put into a whole program into 15 pages of check boxes and things that they spend a whole day with us going through the program when they do come in. So it's one that you know, we've been trying to up what we're doing with consulting help and things like that, trying to do all the things outlined in and participating in different things, but it's getting to the point where they have so many things they want us to do. It's almost getting like the water system. Like we have a person that just does testing in the water system. Well, they want outfall testing and they want outfall inspections and all these things that just, when we first started this 15 years ago, the demands weren't as rigorous. So we're still trying to make sure we're keeping up with everything, and we're doing our best with what we have. How about that?
Anyone else?
I just noted in the public outreach section, they really had a lot of organic growth in their outreach. That
Oh, yeah.
was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Can you explain the top 5 posts? I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. It's these slides here.
I
Yep,
think
yep.
that was the top post for the organization.
For the
themselves, through
Lacrosse
their
Waters
Facebook
organization.
page.
Yeah. They post on Instagram and Facebook, various social media platforms. So that was their top 5.
It's what they got the most engagement on.
Yeah,
That's what-
yeah, they got the most people to click on it, or users, and you know, there are a variety of different you know, topics they try and put in there. Actually, if you go to page, well, there's no page on there. One of the top posts is actually us. It actually
Mhm.
shows Amber Bates from our Public Works Department. We actually interviewed some of our
Oh, yeah, there.
Public
Page
Works
42.
staff. That's actually one of our staff there. So that was one where we made a video with Kevin Schubert, Amber Bates, and Brandon Heileman about grinding applications and how we use it and everything. So it's a great thing. It's the one thing with the DNR though is they won't take just that. They still want us to be doing messages at Board of Public Works, so we're getting the word out about stuff. We still have to be doing stuff on our own because they won't take just that group as our public education, which seems like a shame because our group is doing so well, but that's the rule.
Okay. Anything else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item number 6, construction services for City Cemetery Columbarium and Sand Lake Road crosswalk projects.
In your packet on page 63, staff is requesting staking and observation services to assist with the cemetery columbarium project. And not to exceed 8,900, and the Sand Lake Road curb ramp project. This will be on Sand Lake Road at the traditional trade site. We're going to be installing lighted crosswalks with ADA construction ramps. And this will help us with the construction staking at both those and then the inspection services. The cemetery columbarium project will be paid for out of the capital improvements. We have money in the construction budget, and the Sand Lake Road curb ramp crossing will be paid out of the construction project for that, which is part of TID 6, which is part of the lighting project. So
Total was 13,800.
13,800, yep, with the SEH, correct.
I'll entertain a motion. I move to approve the 13 to not to exceed $13,800.
second,
All right, seconded by Mayor Smith. Discussion, Dan.
So which intersection was it the Sand Lake or the main?
It's gonna be at the mid block is what I call it, but it's the entrance to the First Traditional Trades building on Sand Lake next to the office building. So it's gonna be right
There's like
north
a
of
little-
Rolling Oaks Drive.
There's like a few businesses that are right
Yeah,
there, right
there's
there.
an office building that basically it's right across the street. It's the direct connection between the existing building and the Traditional Trades office. And it has a ramp that goes down to the Traditional Trades second building that they built, so you'll be able to go through the whole campus. So part of it is the people in the first building are going to be going across the street to walk and or use the community center building that they have as part of their project. So they're gonna be crossing it's already starting to happen. And there's actually a sidewalk that goes between the buildings that goes out to Pine Ridge Drive. And actually then people can walk through the neighborhood. So it's a pretty critical pedestrian link in that neighborhood. And with the speed out there at 35 miles an hour, it definitely we're trying to make the pedestrians visible, so.
so let's see here, Victor.
Yes, you will go ahead.
So just for clarity for the minutes, each of these projects, it'll come out of the project, but existing project budget.
Correct.
As to separate, even though we approved it in one motion, a total amount, they're separately coming. out of
Correct.
Two different budgets.
8,949.
Okay, I think these are good.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item number 7, the pumper tender fire truck bid. Chief.
Thank you. So in 2025 CIP budget process, just a little background here, just as a reminder, this project was approved to move forward. However, we did not bond for it. There has been $500,000 set aside currently for this project right now. We estimated the cost to be about $1.425 million for this project. We did put it out for bid in the La Crosse Tribune, City of Alaska website, League of Municipalities website. I also sent out 5 letters to specific manufacturers for this. We received one bid back on March 17th in the amount of $1,314,159. So it looks like it came in under bid. However, that extra $100,000 I would reserve for loose equipment, for hose, nozzles, and different things on the fire apparatus that we're going to need. Looking into this a little bit and getting the bid documents back, and I talked to Serena a little bit about this as well as Jared. There were some prepayment discounts that were available. For instance, if you paid 100% upon contract execution, so right at the beginning, there would be a total savings of about $194,238. With the $500,000 already committed to this project, that would leave a remaining $619,921 that we need to come up with prior to signing the contract. There's also a chassis progress payment option, in which we could save $17,104. That would be, we need to pay upfront then $636,720 to pay for the chassis itself. There are other options for savings on this. Depending on how much we put forth each year, they would like to schedule. And then they could calculate what those prepayment benefits would be to the city.
Delivery.
Delivery, yes. So we're looking at, it was originally estimated at 48 to 51 months at the beginning of the project. We're looking at fall of 2029, when they would look at delivering this, so 52 to 55 months. So it's getting longer, unfortunately. I guess my recommendations would be to proceed forward with the purchase of a 2029 Pierce Velocity Pumper Tanker as specified in the bid proposal. To discuss and weigh the prepayment options, see if we can save some money, if that's what the city wishes to do. There is also a price hike coming in mid-May at some point, is what the vendor told us, so wouldn't recommend delaying. I don't know what that price increase is gonna be, but certainly it's expensive enough as it is. And then leave us obviously some money at the end, however we decide to proceed with to purchase some loose equipment for this apparatus. So,
I'm gonna go to discussion before motion because I think we're not at a motion yet. We have decisions to be made for motion. So Sabrina, the addition of, if we were to add another $619,921 on top of the 500K already approved, which would save us almost 200K, but do we have that and how much will that impact us? Obviously, it would be negative potentially that it would impact us.
Yeah, so currently in the equipment replacement fund, we have about 1.8 million in undesignated funds. So in our reserves for equipment replacement, we could use some dollars out of there and pay for it all up front. Just very basic calculations on $1.3 million. If we pay that upfront, right now that 1.3 million is sitting in our savings accounts, which is earning, it's in that our LGIP is earning 4.4. At Bremer, we're earning right around that 4.4 as well. Dana Investments were between 4 and 5%. If you take 1.3 million and you don't use compound interest and assume rates would stay the same, we wouldn't be ahead. But not knowing what the market's going to do and knowing that we could see the savings up front,
Where's the original 500,000?
that we reserved, so we had some additional revenues in 2024 that we reserved for the purchase of the truck. So those are already reserved and sitting in the equipment replacement fund in an account that's reserved.
That's
They're
part
still
of the,
sitting in our bank earning interest and all of that. But if we were to move forward and purchase it, we would cut a check straight out.
so that 500K though, right now, when it's sitting in the equipment replacement fund, you're saying that's part of that 1.8?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not part of that 1.8.
That was from a previous CIP.
Oh, it was from the budget
From the
process.
budget,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're taking from excess revenues. I just didn't know where
Yep.
we're sitting right now.
Yep.
So
It's sitting in a reserved fund balance in the equipment replacement funds. And unreserved balance, we're at 1.8 million in equipment replacement. But I will remind you that we did not do an operating transfer into equipment replacement this year. We chose to pay off short-term debt
Yep.
and then put the money towards the fire trucks. So just things to keep in mind.
And our equipment replacement expenditure each year is about how much?
400,000 to 500,000.
Do we have a mechanism where, like, we could, if we're looking at this, we can deliver in 2029, could we utilize funds from the undesignated equipment replacement fund and then essentially give ourselves a loan and then like maybe $100,000 back each year with whatever the prevailing rates were? Is that a function that we can do?
I'm not 100% sure what you're asking, but we wouldn't be able to bond. We wouldn't be able to bond for it now because we're going to pay for it upfront.
And then
So we wouldn't want, I wouldn't recommend that. We could, it does take by us purchasing it up front and doing it now, taking it out of reserves. It does free up room when we're looking at our CIP budget every year, knowing that that's now off and we've covered it. Well, all but the 100,000 for loose equipment that we would likely need in 2028, 2029.
And then my second point is if we do choose to prepay, I think there would be some merit in investigating the strength of the manufacturer, because if we put $500,000 out there and prepay it for 5 years and they go chapter 11, the city could potentially lose $500,000.
So we've purchased, I think this will be the fourth truck in a row in like the last 15 years. And they've all come from Pierce. We've prepaid all of them. Pierce's, basically subsidiary, they're along with Oshkosh Equipment and everything. They're probably the most rock solid manufacturer that's out there. But anything can happen, but the city attorney actually drafts up an agreement with them for the purchase. But this is a long, normally it's only been 18 months we've been reordering the truck. So this is an abnormally, it's gonna be 4 years plus till we get it.
A
So
lot can happen in 4
in
years. Things are kind of weird right now.
Yeah,
Are they owned by Oshkosh?
yeah, Oshkosh Equipment, yeah.
They are huge on defense department contracts, so they'll probably be okay. I mean, there's no guarantees, but
Yeah, I mean, this is the way that we've done it in the past, but can you walk through, like, if we do the chassis prepayment, what does that look like? And when would the next payment be due?
Right, so I
Just
mean,
kinda getting my
we,
brain around it.
yeah, we can do the chassis prepayment and save that $17,000, and then we wouldn't have to make another payment until delivery.
Oh.
But if we wanted to march out, say, we're gonna purchase the chassis up front, save that $17,000, and we wanted to do $200,000 a year up until 2009, we can hand them that schedule, and then they will calculate with that prepayment discount.
so this has the chassis discount has the 500K upfront.
Actually,
It would be
636.
636,700.
So I see what you're saying.
So I mean, another
So
136.
If we did a chassis prepayment, they would discount 17,000, but then we could still negotiate further discount down
Additional
the road
savings, yes.
if we did partial payments.
Yep.
At
But
the time
the
of
big-
purchase.
But the biggest, best discount would be just
Correct.
That would be a big hit on our equipment replacement fund.
It would be a decent hit.
60%.
Yeah, and it would, I mean, you take the money out, that's less money we earn in interest. But knowing that interest rates potentially will go down, I feel less worried about, like, I don't feel like we're gonna stay at 4% on what we're earning right now on our investment accounts. Our savings accounts, our investment account, I think will stay between 4 and 5, but the other savings accounts that we have, I think will likely go down.
And we do have other cash reserves if there is a true emergency. That isn't our only
Right,
cash
right, yeah.
reserve. Like if there's a true emergency,
We have
we have other money.
reserves in
This
the
is
general
just our
fund, correct,
equipment replacement fund.
correct, yes,
So
Not that I'm advocating for spending them. but-
right, right.
what makes the most financial sense here then? From Sabrina's point of view.
She needs her crystal ball. so
Yeah.
She knows what happens.
Crystal
with
ball.
I'll
interest
get you,
rates.
Larry.
I think either way, whether we prepay just for the chassis and then make a plan to prepay the other ones, but then again, you're already going into each year's equipment replacement, like, okay, 200, 300,000 is spent, each year. I don't think that's a terrible idea. I also see the benefit of paying upfront. 100,000.
You do or do not?
I do see the benefit, just because, like, just simple math, if you did 1.3 million, if it stayed at 4%, you'd have about 200,000, not using compound interest, but I just don't think the odds of us staying at 4% are going to happen.
Well, even if it's a break even, if we go off interest, it's less of a hit to do it over time. So if you're
Yep.
saying that over time, over the next 4 years with interest, we might make 200,000, well, it's about 200,000 in savings,
Mhm.
but we're not taking as much risk and we're not taking that hit on our our savings.
Mhm.
So sounds like it might be about a wash, Larry.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. Chief, did they give you any indication on how big of a increase it's gonna be after May?
No, he didn't really
'Cause
say. I
if
mean,
that'd be
Jared, you were
4%, then
there.
that covers.
Well, I think as long as we sign,
Yeah.
we're
yeah,
we're
that's what I'm
locked
saying.
in.
Once we
right?
commit, we're done.
I think we're gonna commit. I don't
Yeah.
think, we're not, I feel we're united on the fact that we're gonna commit to buying this.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking.
But yeah, he didn't
That's not.
really know. Yeah, he just kind of to the deep.
All right, well, just.
So,
I guess
Go
I'll
ahead.
just say, like, based on my experience here, I feel like we're in a, although we truly struggle on the operating budget side of things, you know, that is very, very big struggle for us. We are in a strong position in terms of cash. Right now, I feel like we should, since we do have the money to be available to do it, that we should proceed with doing it because we always have more hardships coming up. And if we procrastinate on it and we know we need it, there's gonna be more challenges all along the way coming that we're gonna probably regret not just purchasing it when we have the opportunity.
so you're,
I would
You're
be an
recommending
advocate for
upfront
the
paying it all?
upfront payments, since we have the ability to do so, and I know we have other cash reserves. But that doesn't, I don't want people that don't understand municipal budgeting to think that that doesn't mean we don't have operational challenges, because we do. But it's a different funding mechanism
yeah.
than the equipment
And
replacement.
again, I'm kind of on the fence, so I'm not really dug in anymore, but, I guess I have the opposite view of taking the chassis discount. Cause it sounds like we're probably gonna break even or come close to either just barely missing or barely going over what the total savings would be over 4 years. Is that what I'm understanding? Ish, to be close.
Yeah, I was running the numbers as if like, I ran the numbers if we were to keep the 1.34, we just sign and we pay at the end, right?
Yeah.
Then that 1.3 would be about 220 at the end, not using compound interest, just 4% if rates were to stay,
So it'd be more confident.
right? But if we pay 636 up front, then that would change calculations, right? Because then,
Can you
We'd be-
run that quick?
Yeah, I mean, I would advocate for, if we were gonna do that, then to at least do the chassis.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, in which case we need another 136,720 on a motion tonight from the equipment replacement fund as well.
Jared, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean,
You do this.
if
You do this.
the,
Gonna come down.
yeah, I mean, they're using 4% just like Sabrina is when they're calculating it, so. I mean, we're in a strong financial position with our investments, so.
But he has another piece of fire coming up next
It's-
year, right?
It's,
Or 2 years.
everybody's got equipment coming in
Yeah.
every year.
2 years.
That's why.
Next.
That's why I felt like we should just get it done, because then next year we're gonna be like, oh, I wish I didn't have that 200,000 that we had to pay.
right. So it'd be
Because
about
of all the-
114,000 if we paid for
The 630.
the 636 and we, kept our remaining funds in,
So it's
investment.
substantially less. We definitely get a better long-term savings by paying up front. It looks like. Yeah. And I think it's probably what's, well.
I also have a quick question
ahead.
too, just for budgeting purposes, so. Since this was funded differently, instead of bonding, we were putting money aside. Would you like to see another CIP item for loose equipment in 2029 then? or
Yeah.
how should I put that
Yeah,
up?
That's-
definitely, we're
If
not
we
gonna
did.
sit on that.
All right, yeah. It was just kind of, it was funded differently, so
Yeah.
I just wondered about that. All right.
So
Just as a sidebar, I've looked into the Oshkosh Corporation and it seems sound that that's strong. Free cash flow, not excessive debt, and it's making money. So
well, they're.
I feel better about that.
I believe they're one of the top necessities for our defense department too, just from my experience. We get so much equipment from them in the Army and the Navy and the Air Force and the Marines, especially ground forces. I don't think that they could be, it would be a big deal if they folded. And I think the government would see it that way too. So that's just me personally. But yeah, I think they're pretty safe. So. Okay, so I guess
Can you hear
I'll go
me?
ahead and make a motion. What's that?
Yep. Go ahead, Diane.
So I
Yeah,
just,
sorry, Dan.
oh, no, you're good. So piggybacking on Alder Stevens' remark about he just looked up the financial status and such, just a couple quick things. Are we able to possibly pull either, so two things, either like a Dun and Bradstreet or a Moody's, or my main concern is what does the contract say? Does it say, do we have any protection that's listed in the contract? That would be my only concern. Because a lot of people look good
Yeah.
on paper until something really bad happens.
Our city attorney would for sure make it that we're
And-
protected.
And I know we've done that on the previous fire trucks we've purchased. That it's been reviewed by the attorney, so I feel fairly confident that the attorney would already know the language that they would want in there.
I
Okay.
think anybody can order a D&B report too. It's not hard to get.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary.
Oh,
Well, it is a lot of years with it being 2029 for delivery,
yeah, I'm personally confident it'll be fine.
but we need to.
There's no guarantees. Well, I'll make a motion that we do the advance payment, which with the savings would be 1,119,921, correct? It's-
Correct.
Which requires then that we use, and on top of the 500,000 from excess revenues that was already voted on with the budget process, we would need another 619,921 from the equipment replacement fund. And that's my motion,
I'll second.
seconded by Sabrina.
For discussion, I would bring forward a resolution likely, I could bring it forward to
Common
council.
council.
That would just, kind of clearly state this out.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
This would have to go on the non-consent.
Yeah,
anyway, it's too
absolutely.
big, yeah.
Absolutely.
Jared.
Only thing I would say is that hopefully if we would be fortunate enough to not have any, at the end of 2025, to have revenues, if we have any savings in revenues or anything that goes back into the equipment replace, the priority is to refill that equipment replacement fund, because that funds all the departments, smaller equipment that doesn't make it
Agreed.
capital improvements, so just put that in the minutes, just so we
Yeah.
We
remember that come next February.
Well, our original plan for the truck was then we'd use excess
Yep,
revenue in the
correct.
future to pay for this
So
anyway.
we'd be
so
putting it back,
Might
yes.
as well just go right back in.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah,
Now, that'll have
absolutely.
to be voted on with whoever's on the board next cycle for budget, but yeah, I mean, I support that already, so.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chief?
Truck.
Thank
you.
You'll eventually have a. truck.
Yeah.
In 2029.
We'll see who's gonna,
Yeah.
who of us will still be here in 2029.
All right, item number 8, purchase of Public Works Department pool truck cab and chassis. Go ahead, Jared.
In your pack tonight, we've got the quote from Ewald Automotive Group, which was would be through the Wisconsin State Vehicle bid of a cab and chassis for $59,834. This will be the cab and chassis that would be turned into our replacement tool truck. Our current tool truck's a 2005, so it's given us 20 years of service. We will be upfitting and budgeting for this in the 26 budget. We'll have approximately $80,000 in the upfitting process, depending on how the truck gets upfitted. It's within the 80,000 that we had budgeted in the 25 budget for the purchase. Staff's recommending moving forward.
Recommend to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. You have a new truck.
You don't have to wait.
We're gonna get-
Everybody.
We're gonna get ours in
Everybody,
6
you have a new
months.
truck.
but-
You have, yeah.
Yes.
The Oprah
Santa Claus.
The dollar amount looks, I mean, for a truck that
Yeah,
size, that
it's
seems
very
really
good.
reasonable.
There's no box on it.
You
It's
need
just
the
a
money.
frame and a,
Still,
He needs the
it's-
rest of the money to put other.
How long would we anticipate that the service?
life of that truck, 20 years. Yeah.
Last delivery.
Jim, I think it's 6 months, September.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Well, that's quick.
Strange timeline.
All right, item number 9, Lacrosse Solid Waste Department, Solid Waste Management Plan. Back to Jared again.
So in your pack tonight, page 73, I sit on the solid waste policy board as the city of Onalaska representative, and this is a plan that's coming forward. This is their 5 to 10 year guide for the landfill, the solid waste facility. I thought it'd be prudent to at least bring it forward and we're not looking for any motions or anything to support this, but they are going to start discussions on it. And there's 8 key strategic issues that they're going through this plan to address. And just one of them, the point that kind of comes out to me is going to be the Excel Energy Waste to Energy Facility, which is number 2. And the contract with what Excel Energy for the waste energy facility runs through 2030. And if the solid waste department continues that relationship, eventually the landfill is going to run out of space. The longer we can keep moving forward with the solid waste department for them to keep that landfill open, we can extend the years of service on it. It's just a huge cost savings that our taxpayers don't really realize they have by having the landfill right in our facility. Because if it's full, it's going to probably require our waste to be trucked a number of miles to a different facility. There's no place, I don't think they're ever going to site probably another landfill in La Crosse County. So it's going to be a long process. So that's some of what goes into this. There's just a lot of stuff that people don't realize goes on in the solid waste department. So that's kind of the reason I brought it forward, just for discussion. If there's anything that strikes an interest of someone, or they want to, I can bring it back once they get further study on it. But just moving forward with that, just looking at any comments.
Jared, who plans for / pays for new landfills? Is that a county thing?
Well, so if the landfill, so probably minimum 10 years before the landfill would become, if they're projecting the landfill be full in 10 years, you have to be starting to plan, probably 15 years before they're going to have to be planning on what to do with the waste. Because it'll take you, by the time you purchase the land, it'll take 5 to 10 years to get it permitted.
Okay.
So the landfill airspace, they have an airspace volume that they can fill, and they're using so much of it a year. By having the waste energy facility, obviously we're using less airspace. So if the solid waste department does not renew this waste energy contract, or Excel doesn't by 2030, the landfill probably only has 14 years of space left. So it'd be 2044 to be full. If we renew the waste energy contract with Excel, they're projecting another 10 to 15 years. So it'd be 2055 to 2060. But at some point, there's going to be further discussions if they do not renew with Excel, then there'll be other discussions will get accelerated.
I'm not real clear still, but I'll come and talk to you on my own at some point. Yeah.
It's a burn.
That's the incinerator, yes. The waste energy facility is the French Island incinerator.
Any other questions? All right, moving on. Item number 10, single engine mechanical street sweeper bid. Back to Jared.
In your packet tonight, I have included a bid tabulation from a bid for the single engine mechanical sweeper. This is to replace the 2005 mechanical sweeper that we currently have. We've gotten a lot of good use out of that unit. That unit is a dual engine unit. So there's an engine in the back that runs the sweeping, and the typical engine on the chassis that runs the actual vehicle. This would be a single engine unit, so everything would run off the engine in the front. We did have 2 bidders bidding 2 different units. So we had R&L Equipment Incorporated bidding a Schwarz unit, and McQueen Equipment bidding an Elgin unit, the Broom Bear. We did look at both of the bids. We did budget $440,000 for this purchase, actually $430,000 in actual cash, assuming a $25,000 trade. So we're using $455,000. So both bids came in under what we had budgeted. Going through these, looking at what we had for current unit and what the unit that we have now. We cited better availability of parts, more onboard water. We feel it's a better overall design, it's heavier duty. And one of the things that struck with us is the Elgin has a hydraulic broom float versus the air system that we currently have, and the Shores would have an air system, which we get leaks on that, and it hurts our efficiencies out in the field with that. The Elgin is more money. That would be a total awarded bid that we are recommending of $384,667. The only option we did not take was option E for the stainless steel hopper. We haven't had any problems with our current steel hopper, so we did not elicit that change. It is about 40,000 more in cost, but we feel for a 20-year unit that we'll be keeping for 20 years over the long haul, we are better off with the Elgin unit. I do have Jim Hansen, he's our lead mechanic, fleet supervisor. He's here to answer any questions. Also on the unit, he's been intimately involved in writing the specifications and talking to the suppliers, so he'd be definitely more technically sound on the specifications than I would.
Did you say you're asking for 384?
384,667 for the Elgin Broom Bear.
Where is that on here? I see 388.
Right at the bottom.
Oh, it's down at the bottom.
Yep,
So I'm looking at
yep,
388 and I
yep.
see 399.
Yeah, we get the base unit was 388. Then once you add all the options, it would come to 399,777. But we are not
The 15,000.
the $15,000 option for option E. We are not moving forward with that.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Jared, could you just describe briefly, for everyone, like the amount of man hours that goes into street sweeping? Cause I think people don't have a good appreciation.
Yeah, so, and currently we have a Shores vacuum unit we've had for 6 years now. I think it's been, that we've had some design difficulties with. We've made it work. But street sweeping, we would start in the spring, we have to end in the fall. This is a mandated activity as part of the previous report for the DNR that you approved earlier. It's a mandated activity. We have to remove 20% of our suspended solid pollutant loading, and that is modeled using a computer program, and the only way we meet it currently is by street sweeping. The street sweeping gets us about 10%, 12% of that 20% that we have to have. With that, we are running the street sweeper. I mean, it runs, from April through November. Doesn't run every day, but there's days in the spring for probably 6 weeks, we're running 2 sweepers, and in the fall, we're running, a month, we're running dual sweepers, and then chip seal also. This is also the sweeper that runs the mechanical sweeper. So this one uses a broom, flips it onto a conveyor that runs it up into the box. Our other sweeper is a vacuum sweeper that sucks it up from the curb line and puts it into a box. So this sweeper is used a lot of spring cleanup for heavy debris. If we get a storm that comes through town, this would be the sweeper that we'd probably run out, and or fall leaf pickup. We run all the sweepers during the fall. Am I pretty quick?
We don't run the mechanical in the fall.
Just unless we get a storm or something.
We do,
Yeah.
it's about 1,000 hours between the 2 sweepers every year.
You mentioned that there's some downtime because of the air versus the hydraulics. Like, how much are we talking about?
It's over time, it doesn't add to much, but it's one less thing to break down on the sweeper. Constant leaks that we fight, and the airbags that leak or air cylinders that leak.
Is the Schwartz a dual engine? And
Single
then-
engine.
So they're both
They're both single engine, yeah.
So the main difference is the hydraulics and,
The build quality is the main difference.
Okay.
And also our able to work with the manufacturer to get parts better and better quality parts. Our current Schwartz, we've had to re-engineer quite a bit of it to make it to run a whole year without being poured out again.
What's the warranty on the McLean Elgin?
We're actually getting option We're getting extended warranty, which is option B. So the extended warranty was 1,500 for the Elgin, 3,970 for the Schwartz, and that gave us 2 extra years. There was 1 year included, and then we got 2 extra years for a total of 3.
3 of them, yeah.
So the difference is, and we think these are 20-year life
This would be a
expectancy.
20-year unit. We've had the current one for 20 years.
So we're thinking it's a less downtime, easier to deal with.
I
And
think,
the difference is what, 2,500 a year for that, but we're still under budget from what the initial plan was. So
correct.
to me, it makes sense to go with McQueen.
Is there a reason why you didn't look at a double engine? Since that's what we had.
The dual engines, they're a higher maintenance,
I would think so.
so the costs to run it every year will be more. We currently have a dual engine, which has been good, but our other dual engine sweeper has cost us $6,000 for repairs in the last, just like 2 years ago, they put a new harness in it for that sweeper engine. And
Okay,
with today's emissions, we're having problems with the street sweepers where the truck engine doesn't run hot enough or at a high enough RPM to fully regenerate. So now that it's using that truck engine as a sweeper engine, the emissions will run better.
is the longevity impacted by single versus dual engine? I mean,
No.
running everything off of one engine versus,
So it doesn't run it runs at like 1,200 RPMs at most. And it runs more or less run the PTO, it's running hydraulics to do it. The reason the mechanicals can get by with that is because there's a lot less power required to run the hydraulic brooms compared to the air sweeper. It actually needs a large engine to run a very large fan. So that's why the air sweeper needs to continue to be a dual engine in the future.
Versus the vacuum sweeper.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I have one more question. So the other street sweeper that one of them that you have 2 right now, you're gonna trade one in. How old is the other one?
The other one is 6 years old. That's a vacuum sweeper. So a vacuum sweeper will not last as long as a mechanical sweeper. So we typically get 8 years, maybe 8, 9 or 10 out of a vacuum sweeper. Because it's like sandblasting the whole time because it's sucking that material through the interior system. And it just doesn't last as long.
So you'll probably replace that one with another vacuum one?
Well,
'Cause
yes,
it's a kind of a
in
different
probably
use.
2 to 3 years.
The run time is completely different on them. So we only put 250 hours on the mechanical sweeper a year, where the air sweeper is about 800 hours.
oh, geez.
Makes
So that's
sense.
why, the rotation.
Kind of a different thing, okay.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
For day-to-day sweeping, the air sweeper does a really nice job. It's pick up all the fines,
Right,
so it moves it.
kind of need both, really.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Any
then,
idea would it be to turn it in, that you're gonna get out of it?
25,000, that was part of the bid. For our old one. our
Do you
20.
think we would do any better if we tried to? sell it?
No, we talked about that, and I think it's just better to put it out, trade it in and get down the road.
Mhm.
is there any technology for these being operated automatically? Like I see like the taxis now with no drivers. It seems like something, I know our mentality isn't, but I just recently was in Arizona and all the taxis don't have drivers in them. The Waybos.
Liability would.
I could see some constituents seeing
I don't
a
know, I-
vacuum cleaner going down the street. and having
But I
something to
just,
say
I
about
didn't
it.
ask
Like,
about public perception, I asked about the technology.
No,
Maybe next time we have a discussion, the technology will be there.
Yeah.
probably in about 4 years, we'll get the fire truck in, it'll be about.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys don't want to talk about that.
I have not personally seen it yet.
But it
at
seems
a
like a
show
street
or anything,
sweeper
but
would be
I-
kind of a good
You
place
could
to
program
start.
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Current trend right now is, electric street sweepers are, that's kind of the push right now, and I'm assuming that will be the next logical step is,
Right.
self-driving.
Right, I mean, Sam's Club has that floor cleaner.
They probably have them for park lots.
Yeah, but that's traveling at about 1.5 miles an hour.
Not for
I mean,
Versus
traffic.
15 or
Could go
20.
1.5 miles per hour if nobody had to go.
Just by 10 of those instead of losing the city.
Yeah, bottom line, people can get out of the way of that one a heck of a lot easier.
Just opening your minds to the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, it's
people.
probably coming, but I don't think we're there yet,
Be
yeah.
a visionary.
Jim, do we need the door open?
Yeah.
Give us
So-
something.
We might open
I
it.
will make a motion.
Oh, we didn't do.
No, we haven't done it, to approve the purchasing of the Elgin / McQueen equipment, street sweeper, not to exceed $384,667.
I'll
Second.
Okay.
Almost in sync.
I'm gonna say second from Dan since this is the last one here. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, Public Works Department 2024 Annual Report. Back to Jared.
In your pack tonight, we do have the 2024 annual report. We do a variety of things in the Public Works Department to maintain the public infrastructure, provide service. I always like to point out, during our annual report, our mission statement to promote the safety and public welfare of the community and strive to promote a positive impact on the quality of life for all people. I think our department does a pretty good job of that. You'll look through there. Obviously, hopefully everybody in Board of Public Works knows the various things we do from cemetery to water system to trash to GIS, everything like that. So I guess I'm just proud of all of our staff that carry out those duties. They do a great job. We have a committed staff. You'll see that whether we're plowing snow or fixing a water leak, they'll come in at any hours of the night. And with that, just there for your review.
So this whole meeting, there's been a lot of staff work required for this one. So yeah, I appreciate it. All right, any questions or discussions on that? I don't think we have to have any motion. That's for information. Moving on is before we do, reference that. What, do you know when your next chainsaw safety class is?
I don't
Okay,
think
with
we've
you.
got it scheduled yet, but yep.
Cool. I've probably been doing it wrong for 30 years.
That is a high priority activity within the department, and it confined space, lockout, tag out, chainsaw safety. Those are some of more of my higher items that really carry risks, so.
All right, next is number 12, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation State Trunk Highway 16 construction update. Back to Jared again.
So in your packet tonight, there's a detour map on page 102. I have the wrong date. Instead of April 13th, it's gonna be April 7th. If you've been driving through the message boards, are out on Highway 16. Basically, what they call westbound, I call kind of southbound State Trunk Highway 16 from 157 is gonna be closed down to all southbound traffic, westbound traffic from April 7th through Labor Day. So I'm sure we'll get constituents calling and residents concerned about that traffic movement. We're gonna see more traffic for sure on US 53 and on 35 coming through our downtown this summer, because it's just gonna be the way people are gonna have to go to get to La Crosse. So
Saying it's southbound, eastbound.
Well, going into La Crosse.
going into La Crosse,
Into La
Crosse, yep,
It
yep.
starts west and it
Yep,
turns
yep,
south.
where the crosshatched on the map will be closed. It will be closed from 157 to Gillette Street going into La Crosse.
And that's
So the arrows are the flow that will be.
Will be open.
Got
correct.
it. Okay, I was
Correct.
looking at the exact.
So
opposite. Okay.
they're part of the reasoning for this is if they went bi-directional, one lane each way, they would have traffic backed up in all directions. So they figured it was better to keep one side fully open and try and keep traffic moving on one side and only have the detour on one direction.
So, yeah, it should be easy when we get the complaints. This is a Wisconsin Department of
It's a
Transportation
DOT project.
project. We have no input on it. So, yeah.
It's after the light on Gillette, correct?
Yep, yeah.
So we can leave La Crosse, but we can't get in
Yep.
there. I think they would have done it the other way.
A hotel in Alaska, you can check in anytime you want, but you can never leave.
All right, item number 13, Wisconsin Department of Transportation State Trunk Highway 157 Main Street Public Information Meeting.
Yeah, there will be a letter going out. We'll make sure we email it out to all city staff, elected officials, and send out a press release. And there's also letters going out to all adjacent property owners. DOT will be having a public information meeting Thursday, April 24th from 5 to 6:30 at City Hall regarding the 2028 construction project of State Trunk Highway 157, which is our main street.
Again,
So
that's another DOT.
that's a DOT.
project.
We will be replacing the $2.4 million of the water and sewer utilities underneath the road as part of that project, but they will be putting in the pavement, the new pavement.
So that's what we're doing in 2028 for our CIP budget.
We will be discussing that at length that in the August,
May.
September and October.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Number 14, unless there are any other questions or comments. Right. Now, item 14, private utility fiber cable installation construction. update.
Just an update, TDS has completed their work. They will be going through doing punch lists and things like that, getting those completed. Brightspeed is still in the city. They'll be working west of 53 and south of Quincy Street. Or basically the rest of the summer, they're gonna be, as they're put in their email, putting conduit in through the end of September and then getting their handholds in and then cleaning up by the end of October is their schedule. So not all of their work is underground, some of it's overhead, so they are going to be in backyards, easements, things like that. This will be hopefully the end of the various fiber installers coming through the community. Unless Charter comes through and decides to replace some of their stuff, which they may.
Again, long term, that's all good news to me. So the more competition, the better in the area. Any comments or discussions on that? Moving on to item number 15, the pay estimates. We have a total of 13 items.
I move to approve the 13 pay estimates dated April 1st in our packet.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mayor Smith and seconded by Sabrina Steger. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. That concludes the Public Works portion. We now move on to the utilities portion. Item number 16 says there is no report, which brings us to number 17. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move that we adjourn at 4:58 PM.
And I'll second. And under discussion, I just want to thank Dan for his participation this last year in the Public Works. And I'm sure we get another thanks as well from the common council before we kick you out for good as well. So-
I'll have to turn in my stuff and put up a do not let him in sign.
No, seriously, it's been several years. Thank you so much for your service.
All
Any
those
other,
in favor?
yeah, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I didn't know if we had voted or not.